negative 200 right
Yeah,
now.
we'd be screwed.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, we're gonna retweet. I got feedback coming from somebody.
Probably not me, because I am a professional and I don't have feedback.
You're probably getting feedback from my instance of OBS, which is what you have to deal with.
As long as it's not on the recording,
It will not be on the
don't
recording.
care.
Is it better now when I mute or no?
Hello?
Ah.
No, I still hear it. I still hello?
So if I...
Yeah, no, it's
yeah,
not.
if I... Okay, now do you hear it?
Now do I hear it? No, I do not.
Okay, yeah, so that's just a feedback from OBS, so don't worry about it. Okie dokie.
Do other people have this problem with their streams?
Yes.
That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Really? I don't.
Are you sure about that?
I really am.
I don't know if I agree with that so much, but we'll go with yes for now.
Hey, look, we're up. We've got a special PHP discussion panel on PHP Ugly's YouTube.
What? What do you mean?
And again, we are live. But at the same time, you could be watching us or Jimmy Snow, who currently has 432 people watching him.
What are you talking about?
Jimmy Snow?
Jimmy
you don't
Snow?
know Jimmy Snow?
It sounds like...
I don't know Jimmy
Sounds
Snow.
like a Coke dealer.
I was gonna say that, but
okay.
1, 2, 1, 2. Coming off the top, y'all know how we do. Listen, I'ma drop a freestyle you can cherish. I'ma send a shout out to the host named Eric. Yo, he's never on some average shit. You know, Eric, he stays loud and passionate. I'm about to break it down for y'all with the clever song. Yo, shout the host named Thomas, cause he's never wrong. Yo, shout to John. You know that he's smart and quiet, unlike my freestyles, which cause a riot. I'm about to do it like this, cause the people love me. Shouts out to PHP, the ugly. It's called ugly cause it's not professional, but I'm about to come through and bless it with style. So let's do it when I'm spitting, I perfume the room. Yo, the segment of the show is called Doom and Gloom. That came from Thomas. Yeah, can nobody go beyond this? I get the mic and then I'm about to keep it like a promise. Yeah, and y'all know we fill them up with anguish. We talking about the PHP, the programming language. About to break it down, no exaggeration. What do y'all do for a living? Web applications. Okay, I can dig it. My words spray tight. They're getting together on the Thursday nights. Yeah, when it comes to rhyming, you can call me the new dude. I spew true lyrics while y'all broadcast on YouTube. So let's get it. You know my lyrics are major. All up in the comments, they got plenty of haters, but they doing what they doing. Keep it ugly. We ending every show with the saying it's lovely. Let's go. Hey, shout out to y'all. Peace to the whole squad, man.
Let's go.
let's
Already?
go.
Already have people joining us on YouTube? How crazy is that?
Popping on YouTube. It's popping on YouTube. And
Before we
got
get started,
Discord going.
please join us on Discord. That'd be awesome.
Yes, there's an added bonus to joining us on Discord now. I'll get to in a little while. It's discord.phpugly.com. That will take you there. Welcome everybody popping in. Appreciate everybody, gentlemen.
Oh, this is going to be a good show.
Why? Something happened?
We've had an interesting.
No, let's start it like normal. We'll let Eric do the honors.
I haven't even started the show yet, have I?
Right, that's what I'm saying. Let's go ahead and start that. I'm excited about it.
Shit. Well, actually, we have a problem with this. All right, so this is going to be the unofficial start. I'm your host, Eric Van Johnson, and with me is John Congdon.
What happened to our episode number?
Going to get to that, and Thomas
John.
Rideout.
2:30.
What?
No. And you know why?
No.
As I eat a spicy carrot and talk to you? That was very rude of me. Let me drink a beer.
That was the weirdest
We had a
start
very
to the show ever.
We had a very exciting afternoon, and we got to participate along with some other podcasters and other people from the PHP community in general in a PHP panel to discuss the security incident that happened with PHP Core. We'll get into that here in a little bit. But hence our problem. So as part of that effort, we wanted to distribute the audio and video podcasts to all the PHP podcasters out there and ask them to include it in their stream. The idea here is to get that information out to as many people as possible. And so we politely asked, hey, we created this. Would you add it to your podcast stream so your listeners will hear it? And obviously we did that. And obviously PHP Architect did that. They were also on the panel as well. Getting to the problem. This should be episode 230 for us.
It is.
But
it is still 230.
But Simplecast would not let me not call the earlier podcast anything but 230. Like, really? Maybe in theory I could have given it a much higher number. Actually, I didn't try that. I'll probably go back and try that.
Well, but if you do that, then this becomes like that number plus one.
No, actually, if I do that, then that podcast is always at the top of our feed.
Yeah, don't do
that. So
this
is our problem. So yes, this is technically episode 230, but I don't know what
are we going to do this? Is this going to be every week? This is technically 231, but we have to call it 232.
Yes.
I don't even know if anybody even sees the episode number on their podcast catcher or reader, because I manually title it. So I don't know. We'll just see where it goes. So yes, welcome to episode 230 of PHP Ugly. I just have to remember moving forward. Well, that actually reminds me. I forgot to title this one.
We do have to start off.
It probably still says 229.
We do have to start off with.
It does say 229.
We're changing the name to PHP Beautiful.
Nope.
We've received too many complaints. Why ugly? That doesn't make sense. Are you saying PHP is ugly? Are you saying your guys are ugly? No, it's so we're now officially going to be PHP Beautiful.
No. When you're playing Rocket League and somebody says PHP ugly, oh, I get it. Then obviously it means something.
John, do you know what day it is?
I don't think John's catching up. Yeah, I don't think John's catching on.
Any idea what day it is today?
No.
It's April Fool's Day.
No. It's April 1st, buddy. Good job.
Speaking
I screwed that one up.
I got
fortunately,
really
our security issue was not April Fool's. What's that?
I got really trolled by Stack Overflow.
Really?
What did they do?
They released theirs early yesterday, and it's just a little pop-up widget when you search Stack Overflow and copy something. It says you have 2 copy-paste functions remaining. For additional copy-paste functionality, check out Stack Overflow Pro. And I was instantly furious.
Oh yeah, I got it.
Instantly furious.
Pop it up.
It took me way too long to realize what it was.
Did you click on Learn More? What's Learn More do? Oh, it's the keyword. That's awesome.
Wait, I was able to paste and I didn't get that.
Copy from Stack Overflow, and you should get a little pop-up.
In the lower right-hand corner? Anything. Just copy anything.
I'm Control C on any text.
That's what I did. Yeah.
On stackoverflow.com, go and hit Control C. Yeah, I'm not saying that.
Oh.
Man, I feel like I'm being left out of something cool.
People don't like you, John.
Yeah, that's a constant thing.
Are you actually in a post like with code that you're trying to steal? Yeah. Oh, see, I'm on their homepage. How do you get this? How do you get the code examples?
Just click any of the links, dude. Have you not used Stack Overflow before?
I never. What is Stack Overflow?
Pain in the ass. Hey, Bucky.
What would you use Stack Overflow for? I've never used it.
Literally everything.
Explains why the quality of your code, buddy.
They also released the Stack Overflow keyboard, which is just Control C and V.
Yep. Pretty awesome.
Stop! You have 2 free copy paste remaining. Hey, I finally got it.
Click on Learn More. All right.
$40. That's a steal.
So, we've got a lot to talk about. Before we get too far into it, I want to let our Discord know that they can now participate more in the show. Right? Talked about this a while back, and I let John and Tom in on it a little bit, but I doubt if they even bothered to check it out. But I hacked together.
No clue what I was looking at. I did look at it.
I hacked together a little bit more of the ugly bot, and there's now a bot in our Discord. If you join us on Discord, and if this works, I'm going to try for the first time here live. If this works, you can do a exclamation point title and suggest a title like Ugly Flow. We'll call it Ugly Flow. Boom. Now, what that just did, if everything worked correctly, I should have shared my screen so you guys could see this, but if that worked correctly, that should have added to a file, Tom, that you can actually see in our extras directory called titles.txt. So everybody can suggest a title now, and then we can kind of go through all the suggestions and figure out which we want to use.
Did you just give our Discord users a job?
Yes, more along the lines of I'm tired of trying to figure out titles, and I want somebody else to do my work for me. So yes, I did.
Sounds about right.
I don't see the flaw with it. There's a few things you can do right now. So this is I really just put this together like between last night and today. So if you actually do exclamation point help, it'll let you know a few other commands, but some of them aren't exactly working the way I want them to work, and I need to mess around with a few things. But yeah, there's things you can do now. So the title one is the one I want to really suggest people take a crack at.
But you can't do it at the beginning of the show. You have to at least give us a little bit to talk about, and then you can find something funny within the show to make a title out of.
Well, that's the point, right? Now they know it's there. So now as we continue through the show, they're like, hey, that's going to make a nice title. And they throw it in.
Agree, but now there's already a couple of titles added, and we haven't even gotten into the meat of the show yet.
That's fine. I'd rather have too many than too few. All right. Should we talk about security and about our PHP panel?
Well, security, yes. I guess we should talk about that. Did something happen recently that people should know about?
I really don't know what to do with you. Really. I just don't know what to do with you at all.
The big news.
It was a softball trying to lob something out there so you can bring people that don't know up to speed. Do I have to teach you how this podcasting thing works?
Tom, you're the doom and gloom guy. Why don't you go ahead and get us up to speed here?
Obviously, the big news this week is that the Git PHP net server was in some way compromised. They're still investigating what exactly happened, but a hacker submitted commits to the main branch that had malicious code in it under the name of Rasmus Lerdorf and is it Nikita Popov as well?
Nikita. Yep.
Yeah.
So that's the worst part is the commits look like they were committed by core maintainers, not just random commits. Right. It looked like it came from somebody that should be trusted.
Now, as we talked about in the earlier video, these were amateur hour attempts at implanting an exploit. I didn't want to get into it in that video, but it's a very bizarre series of circumstances because it is an advanced compromise of the Git system, but the actual implementation of their hack was child's play, like just terrible work. It's a very strange combination of things. Now, the PHP team immediately discovered that this had occurred, halted all access to the Git server, and quickly decided to move off of that Git server onto GitHub, which didn't exist at the time that PHP originally implemented their Git server. GitHub has a lot of security stuff, a lot of permissions and access groups and rights that are very helpful, such as requiring two-factor authentication, signed commits, support, a lot of cool stuff. So it's a good move. It happened very quickly, and as far as anyone can tell, there hasn't been a compromise on any production servers.
Right, and I think Sarah was pretty clear as well. And again, need to encourage you to go watch the video. You really kind of get a lot of information from Sarah Goldman, who is is part of PHP Internals. She had a ton of information. We're just kind of highlighting some of it, but it turned out the server itself. So the PHP team had their own Git server that was separate from GitHub that they would actually mirror to GitHub. But the Git server that PHP managed was the source of truth. Initially, there was some thought that maybe the server itself got compromised, and it seems as of today that's not the case. They think that it's leaning more towards the fact that some of the credentials, some old credentials, may have been compromised or leaked, is more like it.
But they're still researching. They don't know for sure yet.
Right.
That's best guess so far.
A couple of good things that came out of this is that it shows how important code review is. These commits look like they came from pretty much the top tier contributors in PHP. There would really be no reason for anybody to question anything either one of these individuals would be committing. But it was questioned. It was scrutinized and it was looked at. And, I have to admit that I am very guilty of rubber stamping PRs. Especially, if a developer asks me to look at something and we're trying to get something pushed to production, I basically look at just some of the basic practices that they implemented, but I don't scrutinize the code itself as much as I should be. And this is a perfect example of why you should be, because you just never know. There are some changes that they're looking to in changing with their workflow. The biggest one is that they're no longer going to manage their own Git server. They're just going to leave that to GitHub and let GitHub be the source of truth, which is probably a good idea. But they're now looking into requiring committers to have signed commits. They're looking at having committers required to have two-factor authentication enabled. There's a lot of additional steps now that nothing is set in stone yet. They're still discussing, everything involved with making these decisions, but they are working in that direction.
Right. The thing that was brought up on the earlier show was leave Git to the professionals. GitHub is a professional organization. Maybe it wasn't back when they set up their own Git server, but GitHub itself has grown, and some of the features they have now, the protected branches is amazing. The fact that you can't push to a specific branch, whether it be develop, your production branch, your staging branch, unless there's been a code review done, is fantastic. And that is so hard to implement on your own server. But I mean, while you can, it's really hard. GitHub already has it. It's one reason to take that out of your infrastructure and put it into something like GitHub. And that's hard for me to say since they're a Microsoft company.
And one of the things that floats around a lot with speculation is why wasn't this part of an RFC? Why isn't everything an RFC reviewed push? Why is there anyone writing directly to master? And the reality of that is that there are core developers who handle security issues, who handle bug fixes. Those kinds of things don't go through the RFC process. Those things go through the standard workflow that you would imagine a developer going through. So,
yeah, it was very insightful. That whole special podcast we did is fantastic. Go listen to it. We've harped on it enough. I think we can move on to other lighthearted stuff.
I think it's time to hear a word from our sponsor.
Speaking of not having to manage
absolutely.
stuff, let's hear it from Cloudways.
We bring today's podcast to you in cooperation with Cloudways, a managed cloud hosting platform built for your PHP projects. If you simply wish to focus on your business, Cloudways is the way to go. They take over server management and security and free up time that you can dedicate to growing your business and acquiring new clients. The platform offers a choice of IaaS partners: AWS, Google Cloud, DigitalOcean, Linode, and Vultr. In addition, you get a performance-optimized stack, managed backups, and staging environments where you can test your code before pushing it to live servers. Best of all, Composer and Git come pre-installed so you can get your projects up and running quickly. All this power, simplicity, and peace of mind falls right within their brand slogan, moving dreams forward. Be sure to visit cloudways.com/en/php-hosting.php today. Sign up using the promo code PHPUGLY and get a $25 credit.
Thanks, Cloudways.
One of our two sponsors for this show. We'll get to the second one later.
Yeah. We jumped so fast into the security issue from PHP that I didn't hear about your week, Eric or Tom. How was it this week?
If you've been listening for a while, you know that I've been doing some interviews and stuff, code tests, but I have a sinus infection, and it's just been terrible. Working through it, the weather here has gone from 10 degrees to 70 degrees in 2 days. It is rough. We had snow on Tuesday, and today it was about 72 degrees.
It was rough here. It was 90 degrees. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it sucked. Baseball started this week, and there are fans in the stadiums.
Yeah, have you guys gotten the vaccine yet?
I have.
I have gotten my first of two. I have to get my second shot.
I'm waiting on mine.
I was as patient as I could be, and then my doc said, "Hey, you're eligible. You should probably just go ahead and do it before they open up the floodgates." And I literally did it I got my first shot actually last Monday, so a week before they opened the floodgates here in California. So as of today, I'm eligible just because I'm over 50, but they opened up to 50 and over, and then I think by the 16th. I think the 16th or 19th, it's open for everybody over 16. But I had been trying to get an appointment for a month and a half, 2 months, and it was impossible. I ended up driving an hour north of San Diego to Temecula to actually get my shot. And then once you get the first one, it queues you up for your second one. So once I got my first one, it said, okay, schedule your second one now, and it walks you through and schedules it for you. So I got that scheduled, so I know when I'm getting that one. but yeah, I still have one of my kids, my wife and one daughter, they work in the medical field, so they have already been taken care of. They were taken care of. My wife was actually taken care of pretty early on. My other child, who works in a school system, has been eligible longer than I have, and they haven't been able to get even get their first vaccine. So yeah, it's challenging, and it's just I don't see how it's going to get better. But
did you call around, or did you just try going through their website to schedule an appointment?
Just tried going through the website.
Yeah. So it turns out if you call around and you get lucky, you find places that have excess, so they get an amount for their population. And if they have extra, they'll put you on a waiting list, or you call, they'll say, I'll put you on a waiting list. And if they have extras, they call you.
Well, that would have been great information to have a couple months ago. Wish I had a friend of mine that knew that. I will definitely make it.
Yeah,
exactly. But yeah, so yeah, I'm halfway there.
How about you, Eric?
What's going on out in Colorado?
Tomorrow is the free-for-all date when everyone gets qualified.
16 and over.
So how about you, Eric? How was your week?
Okay. Been better.
Baseball started. He's happy about that.
Baseball started. That's something to look forward to. I had a fairly embarrassing conversation about the fact that I'm one of the runners to be a release manager of PHP. That our earlier podcast kind of tailspinned into that discussion, which
you very much drove
weird.
I crowbarred it in there.
I'm kind of proud of the fact, but at the same time, every time I hear it, I like pee myself a little bit, like I'm terrified. But I will say, according to Sarah, and she credits PHP Ugly for this, she thinks this is the most people they've had volunteer to be release manager in the history of PHP. Now, I'm not satisfied with that. There's only 8 people who have volunteered. I think we can get that into double digits. There's got to be 2 more people listening to this podcast.
Stop it.
They've already got 8 is already more than are currently listening to us on YouTube, so don't get greedy. Right now we have 5 people viewing. One of them's me. Yeah.
And 3 of them are us right here.
Riviera says, cheers from PT, guys. Where's PT? Porter? No, not Porter. What's PT? Where PTB? Riviera, where's PD? PT?
Also, how are you watching us from Periscope?
You had to ask that so we all... And you had to ask that so we all look dumb, because none of us know what it is.
Brian Johnson, drive to known Republic districts. Drive to known Republic districts.
Republican districts to get your shot, because Republicans tend to...
No, they're not getting their shots.
Right.
Oh, that makes actually a lot of sense. Holy crap.
In a very red district. No, but I'm curious here how Rivera is watching us from Periscope, because as I understand it, yesterday was Periscope's last day.
I think I saw it on Twitter when you posted us to Twitter. I think it came up. Oh wait, did it not come up? I don't know. I thought I saw it come up.
I do see it here.
Isn't Periscope owned by Twitter?
Yes.
This is fascinating. We're one of the only streams currently still pushing to Periscope.
Yeah. How about you, Thomas? How was your week?
My week. We need John's week.
My week was stressful as it has been for the past 6, 7, 8 weeks now. It's driving me absolutely batty. But we think we've solved a lot of it, and it seems to come down to database configuration. And a lot of it tends to go to the DBA, the person who handles all the database administration, his historical fear of issues. So going back like 10, 15 years where there was an issue and the resolution was, let's limit the number of connections to the database to 300 or whatever the number was. And since then, the application has grown tremendously, and the infrastructure has changed drastically, going from self-maintained servers to being auto-scaled in AWS with multiple servers and able to handle so much more capacity, where changing that number of connections from 300 up, while it was scary, was probably the right thing to do. So we changed it from 300 to 2,000.
Let's see, what number should that be? I don't know. 300 wasn't enough. Let's go 2,000.
Yeah, it's like when Hansel and Gretel ran out of breadcrumbs to drop behind them, so they just started pulling off fingers. Just go dramatic.
I think it was the right thing to do. I mean, when you start running the calculations you'll find online for the amount of RAM you have compared to the amount of buffer pool resources you have within 2,000 was nothing. It should handle that completely fine. It was a necessary step, and we haven't had an issue since then. So fingers crossed. That was really the key.
It also does immediately make you glad you're not a DBA when you start getting into those calculations.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. But I mean, there's so many other issues. We're still in this weird hybrid model where it gets really weird. And what I've been working on most of the day, and I'm very, very close to figuring it out, and I'm frustrated that we had to record, so I had to stop looking at it, was every request to the website. I shouldn't say every. Almost every request to the website opens 2 connections to the database, because they're still using a legacy database layer, and we're moving to Doctrine, and it causes two separate connections. But in a discussion recently, I realized, oh shit, we set a channel variable or a connection variable on the old system to do certain auditing that doesn't happen on the new one. And I don't think it matters because the new one doesn't really hit those tables yet. So I'm not too worried about it, but it just got me thinking, like, shit, I really got to fix that. Plus, we have all these extra connections that shouldn't be there anyway. So just when I was about to log off for the day, and then before we started recording, I was looking at it, and I feel like I'm like probably 2 or 3 lines of code, if I can figure out what they are, away from solving this. So we should wrap up now. I'm John Congdon. Keep it over here.
Here's the
premature ending of the show.
There's so much more to talk about today than just that. The hack.
I know. We're already halfway into this show.
I've got something that's just going to tickle Eric so much.
He doesn't. I could use some tickling.
Trust me. Hey, every time I've tried, you've complained about it.
You don't wear the top I asked you to wear.
Technically, it's a one piece.
It was see-through like you asked.
We have.
Real quick.
We have Fabian Potentier releasing Symfony UX Turbo.
I'm not familiar. I'm not even looking at the freaking Trello board. Is this on the Trello board? We haven't even been giving our Discord any links. I could have done that with the other stuff. What is Symfony Turbo? UX Turbo. What is this?
It's the Symfony integration of a library called Hotwire Turbo. And if Hotwire sounds like something that Eric is already a huge fan of, that's because it is.
Well, I think this is more like the. I think this is. Is this not more like what's that other thing called? Turbolinks. Is this not like Turbolinks?
This is actually a 2-part package consisting of a package called Turbo and a package called Stimulus.
Links.
And you get some very familiar looking code out of this that allows you to make objects in HTML that make calls to Ajax components that are built into Symfony.
Oh, yes. You know what that is.
So,
you know what that is.
If you know what Livewire is, you might be comfortable with looking into Hotwire and Hotwire Turbo, which is the framework agnostic version of the same sort of behaviors as Livewire. So it's not just exclusive to Laravel anymore. Now, it's definitely not the same as Livewire. It's a different project with similar goals outlined, but it is maintained completely separately. I'm not even sure how old it is because it's just come up within my view here. But the integration with Symfony and the Symfony UX project is very interesting.
What would it take for Livewire to not be a Laravel specific thing?
I assume a lot, because I think it extends itself from the current Livewire components. So, but I don't know what all that would be, to be honest with you. I'm just making the assumption it would be a lot of work.
I imagine it would have a more complete back end that you would have to install that would somewhat mimic things. Brian's asking if Turbo and Stimulus are Basecamp front-end packages, and I actually think that there is a relationship between Basecamp and these two projects. I've seen it surfing around.
Why?
I'm not sure why.
Basecamp is Rails, isn't it?
Well, this is a JavaScript front end for communication with a backend. So even if it is Rails, it's still an NPM and JavaScript driven system.
All right. Well, that's kind of cool. I need to look into that, but yes, that's very promising.
You're not going to look into it. You're so buried in Livewire, you're not going to look at it.
I've already got that problem solved, John. You know me. It's already solved. I'm just trying to be polite. You're absolutely right.
I don't need anything else. I got Livewire.
Just kind of a one-off fun fact thing. Did you see the tweet from Nate Friedman on GitHub? And now GitHub automatically does a table of context for your README file. So if you have a very long README file, I assume it's just grabbing like one of the headers or all the headers and creates a table of contents, so you can now jump around a README.
I had not seen that.
That makes sense, but no, I did not see that.
It does make sense.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
2 hashes is the standard header for a section.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, any of them. One hash is like H1, 2 hashes H2, right. 3 hash H3. I think it does. I think
7 hashes H7.
Yeah, we really need to review your contract, see why you're still on the show.
I've been saying that for years now.
John, Jesus, Tom, I got something very interesting here that I put in here
Is it the
just
thing with the
for
Colorado
you.
Flag? Because it's the thing.
As you know, John and I are System 76 people. We rock System 76, and System 76 has a mission of not open sourcing everything, not only the OS but the BIOS, the hardware. Not all their hardware is open source platform, but a majority of it is. They now did a testimony in front of your home state, Colorado, around a right to repair bill. Yeah.
Do you watch the guy out of New York? Why can't I not think of his name? Lewis.
This is an interview he did with those guys, with the System 76 guys. So that Trello card has him doing it. I think that's what that one is. Actually, I should check it. Let me see now. Well, nope. These are just the testimonies of those. Yeah, John, I know exactly who you're talking about, and I would need to find where that is. Here, I already found it. Here, I'll add it to Trello. Coming in hot. Lewis
what's his
Roseman.
name? That's him,
Lewis?
yeah.
Yeah.
I love that guy's content.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. Yeah, he's had a beef with Apple for forever.
Oh yeah, the refund guy.
So yeah. So if you're not familiar with right to repair and what that means, a lot of computer manufacturers, the big boys, are basically trying to make it so that repair shops don't have access to any of the schematics, any of the underlying hardware needed to repair things like a MacBook, like an iPhone. And it's not just an Apple thing. I don't mean to play it like this is just an Apple thing. There's a lot.
Apple's one of the big ones.
Yeah,
Apple's definitely
one
one of the big ones.
Actually said that they had planned obsolescence in their products.
Yeah. So this is an effort to basically have a bill in place that says, hey, if you release hardware, the consumer has a right to get that hardware repaired. Therefore, repair shops and the consumer should have access to the things they need to repair that hardware. And again, System 76 is a poster child of this. They release all. If you want to, you can build a System 76 machine. Everything, case and all, they have the schematics. Everything's accessible to you. That's what they're going for. They're basically saying, hey, this should be locked down secret stuff that people can't get. Of course, the other side of that coin is, hey, this is proprietary information. This is how we're making our money. We don't want to give this information away because we don't want people stealing how we design our circuit boards, how we design our hardware. It's a flimsy argument, but it is what the argument is. My understanding of what their argument is.
Yeah. It's such a hard argument. I mean, I understand it. You're running a business and you want to make as much as you can. But the fact is, most people will take the easy route, and the people that want to build it themselves will. They'll find a way.
This is an old problem. The Miss Pac-Man exists because people were taking Pac-Man machines and modding them with their own chips and expanding the game. If you ever looked at an old... Yeah,
really?
Yeah,
I did not know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Namco sued to stop this being done, and they ended up losing the lawsuit, so they just bought the company that was doing it. But if you ever look at old chips, old microchips, sometimes you'll see a blob of permanent black, round, epoxy on it. And that's one of the ways that companies will try to hide what chips they're using in their systems. And it's still very common. Now, we have had victories on this front in the past. Previously, you would see a sticker on something that said warranty void if seal is broken. And that's no longer legal. Mm-hmm. If you do see a sticker that's on something like that, it's not legally enforceable, and having the sticker itself is considered an infraction. Now companies have to prove that any damage done to the device was done by the consumer in their attempt to repair it, and if they get caught lying, that's a huge fine for them. So don't be afraid to void your warranties, because that is, at least in America, that is no longer a thing. But right to repair is a huge problem. A lot of the motivation for these waterproof ratings on cell phones started with preventing people from replacing their batteries. If you glue the whole thing shut between two pieces of glass, then no one can replace their own battery. So it's a big deal. It's one of those things I'm always fighting for. I didn't realize that that was happening here in my beautiful state of Colorado.
Your own backyard is leading the charge. So
there was
you know what? Now is probably a good time for our second sponsor.
Go for it.
This podcast is also brought to you by Honeybadger.io. We explained this last week, and I'll have to continue to explain it until we decide to pre-record something. But the great people at Honeybadger reached out, became a Patreon level sponsor level, and didn't reach out, didn't talk to us at all. I actually reached out to them and said, "Hey, Honeybadger, thanks for sponsoring us. What do you want us to say?" Their response is, "I don't know, just ad-lib something. We're fine. We just thanks for the podcast."
You
so
to tell people
definitely
that's what they said. Just ad-lib something.
Definitely want to thank them. If you're not familiar with what Honeybadger is, it's basically one of these bug. What would you call it? Bug catcher
cloud exception handling platform.
Cloud exception handling platform. Some of the stuff I have written down here is Honeybadger provides all the content you need to understand what is causing each exception, who's affected by it, and makes it easy to follow up with those users once the problem is fixed and deployed.
If you're
great guys,
one of the competing products, I really recommend you check out just the front page of Honeybadger.io. They have descriptions of features that you wouldn't even imagine using your older products. Things that let you track behavior, user interaction before an exception occurs, so you can trace which variables got modified and when, all the way down to the point where the exception occurred, and allowing for the customer to input information so that you can contact them and say, "I've seen the issue and we're working on resolving it," or "We have resolved it." Very, very cool stuff.
Yeah, so good people over at Honeybadger.io. Go give them a look, give them a try. We're using Honeybadger.io on a couple of our sites now because they were so nice to sponsor us. So thanks, Honeybadger.io.
Yeah, check monitoring off your to-do list with Honeybadger.io.
This goes back to what we were talking about earlier in the system: is managed platforms for handling stuff. I mean, if you're running your own exception handler thing, you're missing stuff. These people are experts in what they do, and managed platforms take that task off of your list, especially as a smaller developer group like us, instead of IBM or something like that. I'm sure they have their own custom solutions in place, but for the target audience of Laravel developers, the artisans out there, this is definitely something to just get it off your back.
And they do have a free tier, so you can do it with no risk. The only risk is falling in love with it and wanting to spend more money to get more.
That is a constant risk.
More Honeybadger. That's the risk. That's the risk you run.
Our show. It's just falling in love with us and becoming a Patreon.
Or falling asleep while you're driving. I heard that's a problem as well.
It was only one time, but the casualties were unexpectedly high.
Oh, you pilot, you know. Go
if
figure.
you are flying a plane, do not listen to our podcast, please. Just put it on pause. Go into the captain's room afterwards and listen
to it. John.
Yeah.
John,
what?
Tell me about a no return type. We had a little bit of this conversation in Discord.
Yeah, this actually came from Discord. I didn't know it was an RFC. There was an RFC that came through for having a no return type. So if we're currently used to, if your function exits without supplying some sort of return type, we have a void type. But what happens if your method doesn't exit or die? Should it be a void type? And I guess the argument with this RFC is it should be a no return type. You don't expect it to come back. It's going to exit no matter what. And I actually have code like this in the code base I work in with a redirect. On a redirect, it prints out the headers, prints out the location you're supposed to go to, and then just dies or exits.
I believe that's similar to how Laravel handles redirects too. Yeah, I believe.
Does it? They spit out the headers and exit?
If you call a redirect at any point in Laravel, it just kills the script right there.
I would actually be very shocked on that.
Fine.
I mean, I don't know for sure. I haven't looked at it. Yeah, while you do that, I am actively trying to get rid of that in this code base because it makes testing impossible. Because you call exit during a PHP unit run and PHP unit just dies. It's like, okay, I'm done. So the way it should be working is it returns a response type of a return, which should travel back up the chain just like any other response would and redirect you.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm thinking that Laravel can't, because their whole thing is around testing that goes through your controller, through Dusk. And if you're doing an exit, well, I guess if you're doing front end, if you're testing from the front end, you don't know any different. But if you're actually trying to unit test, an exit is a bad thing.
I can't read this.
So I say all that. I don't understand what this RFC does. To me, this RFC is adding code smells to your application. If you're saying this is a no return type, to me that's a code smell, and you should be looking at getting rid of or refactoring that method and not doing whatever is causing that.
Let's not forget.
Just my opinion.
These static types are important for the JIT compiler. If you have a return type, then the code can be stored in a compiled format much easier. So,
which is fine, but what I'm saying now is if you're not returning, there is an issue in that method. That while it's going to be hard, it should be refactored out, and you shouldn't have that.
Like a never exiting process.
How many of those do you have in a web front end area?
That is none of your business.
Buttery in Discord says surely it helps with static analysis and JIT /caching. So yeah, it sounds like JIT might factor into this.
Which is fine, but it's still a code smell, and I still think it doesn't belong in your code base if you're doing a web-based application. If you're doing a long-running application, that's completely different, and maybe that's where they're aiming for.
Let's not forget too that exit does not immediately halt execution of the program. It starts the exit functionality of the program, which is the deconstruct method on all instantiated classes and objects, and the shutdown methods that are flagged for execution. So
okay, but in all intents and purposes, it does just halt execution at that point.
It begins halting execution.
Now you're just being pedantic, because it's not passing. It's not going to pass the response interface, the response object that you are creating. It's not going to pass that into your destruct. It's just going to say, okay, I'm done. Free all your memory. So it doesn't. Yes, you are correct, but it doesn't help you in any way solve the issue at hand.
Now I'm just playing devil's advocate because I don't agree with this RFC. I don't think it's necessary at all. But I could see this being functional in a WebSocket environment where you may exit at any point in the execution cycle. Things that are long running or, like I said, running in a loop, where the intention of it is to stream responses but never return a response object.
Yeah, I realized that as soon as you said that last piece about having a loop where there is that possibility where we're not in a web application. And unfortunately, that's kind of where my mind goes. That's where I focus my time at. But PHP is branching out into other things where an exit probably is legitimate and needs to be there. I mean, I have my own long-running processes, job daemons that run, that do an exit. So I guess there is a point to it. Now, I was only single focused on the web.
If you consider the new integration with fibers, there's a potential that you'd be spinning off multiple green threads that will exit when they're done with their job, when they're done with their task, because they will be non-asynchronously responding to promises.
See, this is why when we talked about it in Discord, which is why you should join Discord
What's
right
that
now,
URL?
Is when this was brought up, discord.phpugly.com. While we were having this conversation, somebody brought it to my attention. I was like, we're having this back and forth. And I'm like, I'm sure I'll be proved wrong. And I was proved wrong right here on the show.
Speaking of Discord, we are very glad to have all of our friends in Discord, all of our listeners. I guess I'm not allowed to call them fans still, even though it's starting to feel like we have fans, which is weird.
Not fans.
But huge thank you to all of our patrons on Patreon. We bring today's podcast to you in cooperation.
One, two, one.
What are you?
What is happening?
I hit all the wrong buttons.
What are you doing? Why are we jumping in?
That's pretty slick.
Are we done with the show? We've got like so many other things to talk about.
That's pretty slick. I like what you did there. Do you have them all? I don't see our new Patreon there. Are they coming up? Here comes our new Patreon. Peter A. Holly S. Welcome, new Patreon supporter, Holly S. I know Holly. Holly and I have spoken over Twitter in the past. They have called me out several times, and I appreciate them keeping me honest.
That's basically the only way that Eric uses Twitter is to get called out.
Now I'm curious.
Just making sure I'm keeping it real. I won't get into particulars. But you know what? I think my bot may have broken our show notes because I know the show note links aren't posting. I'm going to try to manually run it here. Yes, we have a problem with show notes. Oh dear.
That's fine.
Yeah, I'm going to have to fix that.
So you like the new Patreon page?
Oh boy.
I do like the new
Patreon page. It looks nice. Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah.
Except I feel like you were trying to crowbar the patrons in there before we ended the show.
No.
Are you done?
Not
Should
at
I
all.
not continue?
I felt like it was a nice fluid segue into thanking the people that help us make this possible. But no, like
thanks.
Like Eric had said earlier when we were talking about the issues, the PHP issues. Sarah had mentioned, our podcast several times, which was
she felt obligated. I'm just saying.
We're having some influence on the community. We're definitely a presence, and I haven't really paid attention to it in a while, but it's strange. It's a strange feeling. That was all. I wasn't going anywhere specifically with that. I don't know. thought, Eric, I thought either of you might have something to say about that. Our increasing popularity.
It was just more fun watching you just kind of flounder.
Here, I'll flounder like this. I'll focus entirely on you. So it's obvious I was expecting your response here.
I don't have a response.
Oh my God.
I don't feel like we have that much influence on anybody. I think we just chat with each other and we have fun. That's all that matters. It depends on how badly Eric
screws up the release process.
I'm not release manager yet. But
and as Bucky, I agree.
Chirp, chirp, chirp. Eric, have you been following the windy tailwind situation?
Actually, I think John might have queued up a story before that.
I did, but mine is stupid.
So I'm not a big fan of this one either. So
it is a lot of drama, and I fear getting into drama.
Yeah, I was gonna do a hard pass on this one, but yeah.
All right. Well, mine was just in passing. I don't know how I stumbled across this story, but there have been reports that Amazon knows that their drivers are peeing in bottles and possibly defecating into plastic bags.
Let's not say that. The peeing in bottles,
pooping in the plastic bags.
Let's not even say that. Let's stick with peeing in bottles. First thing, why would that surprise anybody? I mean, really, why would it surprise? These guys are on the road all day long. They're driving through neighborhoods. It's not like they have a bathroom readily available to them. There's
a Starbucks on every corner.
Long haul truckers do it all the time. I don't particularly want to have to do it, but that doesn't surprise me in the slightest.
Well, and how bad is it really? I've done it twice this episode.
I think the whole point of the story is more that I think the whole point of the story is that the pressures put on the drivers are too high, like not giving them they're trying to meet quotas versus take care of themselves.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, had you told me Amazon line workers are peeing in bottles, that there would be a problem there. But
yes.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That is
a well-documented thing as well.
That worth discussing. The fact that drivers
that I don't know about. I know what I've seen is the drivers, not line workers.
Yeah, the fact that the drivers are, if it's because the pressure they're putting on them, that's another story. But I don't know if every neighborhood has a park with a available bathroom to it, or how far some of these drivers need to go to get to a Starbucks. I don't know. So I wouldn't be completely floored to find that's happening, because when you gotta go, you gotta go. What would you rather than pee in somebody's garden? It's
free fertilizer.
I think if you're driving in rural USA where there's miles between locations, there's plenty of woods obviously at that point.
Well, but I mean, let's be clear here. These are already custom vehicles. If this is an issue, add another customization to the vehicle. Does that not?
Good point.
I think to
have a customization that would handle all gender parts, that starts to be not so. I mean, for us dudes, a bottle's all we need, right? I mean, that's not an acceptable solution for everybody.
It's hard to get those wide mouth bottles still, though.
Stop talking. We need to move on. We gotta move on.
I don't even know how I stumbled. I can't even remember how I stumbled across that story. It was just fascinating to me that was a thing.
All I know is I was in incognito and the story popped up.
No, actually, I know where I got it. It was from Twitter, but
there we go.
I had an open source pull request accepted.
I saw this. Is that a picture of Jared Leto?
Oh,
I don't know who that is.
Where is it? Is it in Trello?
Yeah, I moved it over to the show notes already. So I use Swift Mailer often, and they use another open source library to do email validation. And this email validator, I think, uses 4 different email validation RFCs to try and validate an email address. And of course, we hit the bug of this email address won't validate, and I can't send to it. I followed the chain, and my initial interpretation of the RFC was incorrect, where an email address can't be more than 256, I think 256 characters.
255.
Before the @ symbol, before the @ symbol can't be more than 64 characters. So I create a pull request that fixes it, sends it off, and they're like, yeah, that's not what the RFC says. I'm like, son of a beep. So in the meantime, while I'm waiting for them to accept it, I fork the repo and I force the local composer to use my fork because it fixes the issue I need.
Mm-hmm.
It turns out that what they were calling a label is after the @ between dots can be no more than 63 characters. And then the whole domain cannot be more than 255 characters. So you can have x.y.z, and x cannot be more than 64. And it was a super simple move one of the lines outside of an if. It was it was a 1-line fix.
The only code you added was to a test, which is, I mean, granted, you helped out. Yeah, you did an add to a test, right?
No, I did that, and I fixed the code. So
But you didn't add a line. You just moved an existing line.
Intent on burning you.
But I did a TDD. I did TDD. I put a bad email address into the test. The test failed. I moved that line from within an if block outside the if block. Test passed. Good to go.
Good to go.
If you look at my previous commits, you'll see that I did way more, and it wasn't necessary because I was proven wrong.
Do not see any previous commits, but that commit is all I need to see.
Well, you won't see it in the commit list because I rebase, but if you look at the messaging, it'll say John Congdon force pushed from commit X to commit Y. So then you can
see that.
Yeah, you can click on those and you can see where I did way more.
I see now. Yes.
And then when the maintainer got back to me, which I wasn't sure the maintainer would because this is a really old package, so I made the assumption that it was dead. And they came back and were like, yeah, this is how I interpret the RFC.
They literally merged the pull request quicker than your client merges your pull request.
It's going to take longer to pull the latest version for your client than it is to update the latest version.
I was like, it's going to take them longer to accept his pull request with this fix than it took them to accept the fix.
It's funny because it's true. I have another one. I don't know if we want to talk about it. I have no clue how this ended up in my browser. But
that's not good.
Yeah, it's normally not a good way to start a conversation, but I got a platesphp.com tab open in my browser, and I still don't know where it came from. And it really is nothing more than another template library, kind of like Smarty or Twig or Mustache for PHP, but it's maintained by the League. And
is it the League? It just says League. Is that the League?
I thought so.
I was just wondering that.
Jonathan,
I thought their stuff is
Extraordinary Packages.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Which I believe.
Oh, it is the PHP League. Yeah,
I believe.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Mm-hmm.
A rebrand into just League, you mean?
Well, this is interesting then. This is a League package.
I'm fascinated because one, I hate the template language I use now.
Smarty.
And every time we talk,
know?
Yeah, every time we talk about
it's so
because
awful.
It's still Smarty too,
so
and
bad.
It's a pain in the ass. And every time we talk about it, we have another developer that says, "You know what makes a great template language? PHP, because it was built as a template language."
He's not wrong, but
definitely not wrong. I mean, granted, this does a lot more than just throwing PHP templates out there.
Yeah.
I'm more confused on why is this open in my browser, because I don't remember clicking on the link.
I feel like this link came in through our Diego Dev Slack channel, because I feel like I've looked at this before.
Possibly. I tried when I saw it this week. I went to Slack and tried searching for that link, and I did not find it. So I would be interested in knowing that. Plates PHP.
Yeah, I'm
See,
not finding
when I search for it in Slack, I don't find it anywhere.
Yeah, I was saying I'm not finding it.
That's why I'm so confused.
I don't know.
So I thought it was interesting. It's a good take a look at it if you're looking for a template language outside of Smarty or Mustache, Twig, Blade.
Blade is the way.
Nice.
Not everyone is a Laravel developer, for crying out loud.
Well, it should be. Speaking of Laravel, speaking of RFCs, Thomas, did you happen to catch that Laravel employee Nuno Medora has an RFC out there?
No.
I will add it to Trello. I'm not trying to sniper this. Basically, he has an RFC out there. It's called Auto Capturing Multi-Statement Closures.
I saw that and immediately turned my brain off and walked away.
Yeah, I don't know if I follow it, but it looks like they're trying to combine basically two separate functionalities that PHP have into one functionality. So I'll add it to the show notes for anybody interested. But yeah, where did I put that at? Right here.
And this also comes into play with the.
Good night, Brian J. Good night.
The recent short tags RFC that's out there. Have you seen that one?
Yeah, didn't we talk about that last week? I don't remember what that short tags was, though.
Short function tags that are very similar to how JavaScript handles short closures.
Oh, right. This is part of that.
And there's some interesting stuff in there. In JavaScript, it's definitely used very, very frequently. One of the confusing things about it is that you don't need to define a return statement. It's just the thing just does return whatever the last thing you did is.
Well, PHP short functions have that, right? I don't even know what they're called,
functions. And this is, I mean, I guess I have to read what this auto capture RFC is now. So next week, I promise I'll have a breakdown on that.
Sweet. Sounds good.
So
I like
the short function syntax is if it's a very simplistic single statement, you don't need to put a return in there. It just does it and returns the value.
And this is from Nuno Maduro.
I think they're trying to. Yeah, I don't understand what the difference between the auto capture plus statement list does versus the manual capture. It looks like all it does is get rid of the use statement, but why?
Yeah, I like I said, I'll look into this. I'll have a better breakdown for us next week. I did want to close out on one thing that's been sitting in my board for a while. A little bit of doom and gloom for everyone out there. Google, as part of their AI research, their AI funds and groups, have a lot of ethics teams, a lot of ethics leaders, thought leaders, and they all seem to be quitting or getting fired really frequently. And it's actually to the point now where there's an AI ethics research conference that said, yeah, Google's not invited. They've suspended Google's sponsorship of the event, which if you've ever run an event, suspending somebody's sponsorship is a bold move. Ethics in AI research is very, very important. AI research leads to automated policing systems, facial recognition systems, a lot of scary Minority Report technology that we don't want to see in the world. And removing the ethics team leads seems like a bad thing. I don't know. Eric, you had some thoughts about this last week when we were talking.
I did. I actually had a lot of thoughts on it. I forget the details of the article now, but man, I'm trying to remember because I had read this article pretty thoroughly. Actually, I think it was more than a week ago. I feel like that one was a couple weeks old. But yeah, this is scary stuff. I mean, we've talked a lot about ethics in our industry for a long time and how important it is. AI, especially, is just ridiculously important. Yeah, I know I had a lot of things. I should have made notes about it. I can't remember any of them right now.
So while you're thinking about that, what was Google pressuring the conference in any way? Is that why they were removed as sponsors? Because that's the only reason I could see saying, "Hey, we don't want your sponsorship money," is if they wanted to change something.
The action came after Google fired their ethical AI lead, Margaret Mitchell, and the co-lead, Timnit Gebru. And then after doing so, they took about 100 engineers, reorganized the structure of all of their teams, and placed the ethical AI team under the vice president, Marion Croak. And I believe that the conference in question here was concerned that having the ethical team being overseen by the vice president of the company directly puts unnecessary pressures on ignoring the ethical problems that the team is discovering. Now, it's probably not surprising that people who are leading ethics research teams are generally outspoken individuals, and that could have something to do with it here, but the real issue that I have is that there's very little transparency. Google is one of the leaders in AI development, and they're just firing the people who make sure that AI development doesn't kill us all without explaining their actions or even recouping losses somehow by replacing these people. It's something that's important for us to keep an eye on. And since this conference was an ethics-based conference, they had to look at this lack of transparency from Google and say, okay, you guys aren't in the ethics business. You don't have any place sponsoring us here. So, and there's questions of censorship from some of the research results that came back here. The Dr. Timnit Gebru, it is believed had some research that she wanted to publish that Google essentially said, you can't publish this and you're fired and we own it, so if you publish it, we'll sue you to hell. and censorship of the research that you've developed to protect ethics within your company is fundamentally unethical. You've gone the opposite direction.
I'm just curious if that was a direct quote. Did they say we'll sue you to help?
No, that's just
That's
just
Tom's
say it so
interpretation.
Often, it rolls off the tongue.
Way to bring the show down. We were on such a high, and then you just had to crash us into a wall.
We're gonna end on a high. So we started this whole show talking about
Please don't say baseball.
the PHP panel we participated in earlier. Now is your time to help. So the whole effort we're trying to make is we're trying to get that information in front of as many PHP developers as we can. That's why we offered the audio podcast and the video podcast for other PHP podcasters to add to their stream. Whether they do it or not, that's their call. We're not going to pressure them. We're not going to tell you not to listen to them. I'm just going to say we did it. Okay. I'm just going to put that out there. But you can help as well. All right. If you are on Reddit, I did post a Reddit thread under r/PHP, said PHP discussion panel to talk about the recent security events around the PHP core code base. If you can get there, if you can help upvote that, just kind of keep some visibility to that topic. Really want to get as many people watching that video and getting that information as possible. Make sure that people aren't concerned about PHP, aren't concerned about the security. They understand how much transparency the PHP core developers want to have, not only on this issue, but within PHP as a whole. So run over to
start the podcast with this.
Run over to reddit.com/r/PHP. It's still hovering around the top of the list right now under hot and new and top. So if you can get there, even if you've already seen the video, just vote that up and keep some visibility to it. I would appreciate that. And I do know the PHP core team would appreciate it as well.
A huge thank you to Sarah Goldman, who we spoke with on that video. Great presentation of the facts, great discussion, and really handled all of our questions face forward, didn't dodge anything, had a lot of answers when she had answers, and a lot of we'll let you know when they're still looking into things. So huge thank you. That was awesome.
Nothing was off the table. She was clear about that. Any questions we
John
had,
wanted
we
to
were
talk about
free to tell.
bottles, but I muted him.
Smart move. I didn't even tell you guys that. So we did things a little differently. Typically for this show, we stream through OBS, and Tom handles the OBS stream. We also record using a separate service for the audio podcast because it syncs things up. If things go squirrely, now we used to do all these backups and stuff. Now it's just if things go squirrely, I grab the audio off the YouTube channel, and we just work with that. But when I do interviews for PHP Architect, we will use Zoom to record as a backup, and use this other service, Zencastr, that we use normally. Well, today, because there were so many people, there were 6 people on this panel, and everybody was muting on Zoom to let the person speak, and then to indicate that they wanted to speak next, they would come off mute. So that worked really well. But then I realized all those people muting on Zoom, that mute does not translate to Zencastr. So I was still going to have to spend an hour or so of my day editing the podcast, where I just thought I was. So I figured, well, you know what? I'm just going to use the Zoom stream, because not only do I record the video, but I record everybody's audio track as a separate track. So I'm like, I'm just going to use the Zoom meeting and use that audio and be done with it. Do you know, apparently when you mute on Zoom, it stops your recording?
Oh, really?
So not only was the recordings not lining up, but the length of everybody's recording was different. So it's not like I could even scoot it over and get everybody's time in sync. I would have to slice everybody's video. Oh man, I was so pissed because from an editing perspective, our podcast earlier was like near perfect. Everybody stayed on mute. Whoever was speaking, asking questions, spoke and asked their question. It was very clear. There wasn't a lot of fumbling. I'm like, this is going to be a super easy edit. And yeah, things went squirrely really quick. So what I ended up doing, I didn't even check the Zencaster. Like I said, I could have used Zencaster, but then I would have to go through when everybody thought they were on mute and background noise or talking. I would have to go through and listen to it all and silence it out. So what I ended up doing is I grabbed the video feed. I love being on Linux, by the way, because there's always a terminal command to fix things. I grabbed the video feed. Really and I used FFmpeg to pull out the stream.
That's an April Fool's if you've ever seen one.
Harry Mack?
Yeah.
I'm going to lose my shit. I'm going to lose my shit if that's really him. I'm going to lose my shit.
It's an April Fool's joke if you've
Don't
ever
do that.
seen
No,
one.
it's not, dude. It's not.
That's him.
That is not.
It's got his I can't click on it. Why can't I click on it?
Because of...
Anyways, speaking of Harry Mack,
that was Tom.
It's not me.
It really says it's him. I think it's really him, dude. You guys are mean people if you're not really... Dude, I think it's him. Dude, play it.
Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Because he says it's me for real.
No, we're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. Play it. All right, Harry, hang out. If that's you, hang out. Thanks for everybody listening for this episode of PHP Ugly. I'm Eric.
I'm Tom.
I'm John.
Keep it ugly.
Keep it ugly.
1, 2, 1, 2. Coming off the top, y'all know how we do. Listen, I'ma drop a freestyle you can cherish. I'ma send a shout out to the host named Eric. Yo, he's never on some average shit. You know, Eric, he stays loud and passionate. I'm about to break it down for y'all with the clever song. Yo, shout the host named Thomas, cause he's never wrong. Yo, shout to John. You know that he's smart and quiet, unlike my freestyles, which cause a riot. I'm about to do it like this, cause the people love me. Shouts out to PHP, the ugly. It's called ugly cause it's not professional, but I'm about to come through and bless it with style. So let's do it when I'm spitting, I perfume the room. Yo, the segment of the show is called Doom and Gloom. That came from Thomas. Yeah, can nobody go beyond this? I get the mic and then I'm about to keep it like a promise. Yeah, and y'all know we fill them up with anguish. We talking about the PHP, the programming language. About to break it down, no exaggeration. What do y'all do for a living? Web applications. Okay, I can dig it. My words spray tight. They getting together on the Thursday nights. Yeah, when it comes to rhyming, you can call me the new dude. I spew true lyrics while y'all broadcast on YouTube. So let's get it. You know my lyrics are major. All up in the comments, they got plenty of haters, but they doing what they doing. Keep it ugly. We ending every show with the saying it's lovely. Let's go. Hey, shout out to y'all. Peace to the whole squad, man. Hope your channel is...
Oh, man.
Dude,
oh my.
Tell me you're really Harry Mack, brother. Please tell me that's really you, man. First thing, even if you're not really you, we appreciate you. If you ever do see this, your positivity. John turned me on to you. I listen to you every day, and I appreciate everything you do. I really love seeing the reactions of people when you break off freestyle to them. You can tell they don't have confidence, and then you see that turning point, and it's just incredible. It's so inspiring to see you work. I appreciate you doing that, man. I appreciate what you did for us. We love it. I hope we've sent some people your way.
some hardcore nerds.
At least one, maybe two people.
Yeah, that's.
Oh man, yeah.
That is an amazing freestyle. Thank you so much.
Listen, freaking Harry Max listening. I'm not even wearing my snapback. Like I've been wearing my snapback all the time, and he tunes in, and I'm not wearing it.
I'm not wearing my
it.
Harry Max shirt that I own. My cap.
I know. I got to go back to his merch. I tried to buy some swag from him, and they were out of my very girthy and healthy size. I know they did some new merch, so cool, man. We got to get him on the show, man. Harry, you want to be on our show? We'll get you on our show one time.
He's on the show twice
I know people would love it. like that guy has time for us. He's like, yeah. I want to be on your podcast about PHP programming. Yeah. Oh man. Honestly, so you saw that. That's how we take it out. We also come into the show with that, and that's just to get us motivated in the right mindset. You literally bring us into the show. So yeah, thanks for that.
Absolutely love it. Everything.
I can't believe I want to have confidence that it's really them, and I don't care if it's not now. It is in my head. So
it is. I'm going with that. See, now I'm convinced that YouTube needs the blue check mark saying this is a verified person.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Or at least like make it. I don't know why I can't click on his name to see if it takes me to his profile, but yeah. All right. Guys, thanks for hanging out with me all day. I know I asked a little extra from y'all with that other special podcast. I appreciate you guys participating in that. I think it did a lot for us. So thanks for that.
My pleasure.
I think it was so important to get that information out to the community. It was inspiring talking to that panel of people.
Yeah, I mean that episode. I mean, we just recorded that 6 hours ago, and we're at 165 views, which is, I mean, for us,
that's
pretty crazy.
165.
The only video that literally has more views is Harry Max PHP Ugly Anthem. he still has more views, but yeah. That's pretty awesome, man.
Oh boy!
All right,
it's time to do a follow up with that one. Have them do a second one.
I've already given the thumbs up financially for that. I'm perfectly down for that 100%.
We could go outro specific.
Yeah. I don't think we can get too many of them. I think we release. I think we need to get him a whole PHP genre to create an album that we can release under the ugly recording label. PHP ugly recording label
together. We need to have some PHP ugly merch so that we can send him some PHP ugly merch to wear while he does it. So, yeah.
Now you're just asking a little too much there. You've gone a little too far.
All right.
Going overboard there.
Sometimes I can't tell. Thank you for letting me know.
Oh, man.
How do you top that ending of the show? Harry Mac jumping in here chatting with us on April 1st.
Dude, I can't believe. I know, why did it have to be April 1st? That's why I keep having a question of whether or not this is real, man.
Why today?
Hey, Harry, if this is you, you have our permission to use any of this on your show if you want. Perfectly fine with that. Thanks, man. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Speaking of permission,
thank you,
Eric. The YouTube video. The YouTube video of the session we did. I believe you can go in and flag it as Creative Commons, which I would recommend.
You're absolutely right. I can, and I should have done that. Let me do that right now. Good call. I'll take care of that.
That gives everyone the absolute freedom to use it in any way they need to, especially with Oscar's green backdrop.
It was a standard YouTube license. I don't know what that is, but yeah, I'll switch it over to
reserved, so you want to switch it over to Creative Commons.
Done and done. Thank you very much. I can't believe Harry Mack just dropped in on our freaking podcast. Are you serious right now?
I am shocked.
We're talking about how we're getting too big for ourselves. And then that happens. I was talking to my wife about my day-to-day because it's been chaotic. But, like, I was telling her about the video and then doing the podcast and then this interview I did where they're like, "Hey, you're amazing. Can we call you right now and talk to you and just hang out?" Like, and she's just telling me, "Yeah, just don't get a big head about it. Just shut up."
Like, too late.
So did you guys see, I shared with you in Slack how where they're using our image in our podcast in reference to phppodcast.com. We're also getting emails of people who want to advertise or post articles on phppodcast.com. I'm like, what the hell? I even double checked to make sure we didn't own that stinking domain. I'm like, that's not our domain, right?
We're really pushing ourselves hard lately.
The voice of the... So is that a Cal Evans site? The voice of the elephant?
Yeah. I think Cal puts that. That's his feed where he puts all the PHP podcast feeds, and basically that's a one-stop shop where any PHP podcast that comes out, if you subscribe to phppodcast.com, you'll get it.
You know, this quarantine situation, it hasn't bothered me much as like an at-home worker and an introvert. But we started talking about like when conferences start up again and all of us meeting up, and I'm like, oh God, I can't wait. I'm so ready to go breathe air in different cities.
That's odd coming from you.
It's real weird.
I can't believe Harry Mack just dropped into our podcast.
This is very cool.
That's awesome. Hey, I do have stuff I want to talk to you guys about off stream. So if we're done, let's say goodbye.
Thank you again to all of our Patreons, all of our patrons on Patreon. I have to show the fancy page I made again. Thank you to Cloudways. Thank you to Honey Badger. We're very grateful, and we will see you guys next week.